Good morning or good day. It's not morning anymore. It's 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. rather. Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Jacob Davidson and I am in North Texas. Welcome to it. I am a mess right now. So to start off, before we get into anything fun, my particular choice of poison today is going to be the strawberry white from the Dragon's Treasure. And I think I'm going to start pushing for Dragon Treasure sales at some point because he has this option where you can, for like $216 a year or $20 a month, you can basically sell or sponsor yourself and get kickbacks every time you get a sale. So I'm going to do that because I actually like his tea and I want to help him out. And if I can help me out while helping him out, oh fuck, that'd be great. Hold on. I'm too high to type my thoughts. I try to fail. Nice. But yes, welcome to it. The topics for today are going to be fun. I realized I forgot to double click. So you could hear me, but I didn't do any of that. It's great. Sorry about that. I will remember to double click. So today's topics will be there's an event that happened in Texas. Not the Sergeant Perry one, but a CPS case in Texas where a family in DeSoto lost their newborn, or the CPS took their newborn because they suspected jaundice. And I have stuff to say about that, so I will. I'm going to express myself as firmly as possible. Let's say that. After that, I will be getting into the Sergeant Perry thing. I've seen a Twitter post from Abbott relating to that after I read the story off, so that'll be fun. And then after that, the other end of the parenthood conversation, a Texas judge has ruled abortificants, or not ruled. He has denied the FDA the approval of putting abortificants out. So those will be my topics. I'll probably add one more along the way, maybe. I think this is it for the show. I can't actually go the full length that I'd like to go because if the show ends at 6 for a 3-hour time period, yeah, I'd be able to end at 6 or 6:30, and that'll be the proper time. I don't think I wanted a long show tonight or today, so that will hopefully work out for me. Now let's see, is my scene right? Alright, let's go. For the first topic, it is that CPS case, so here it is. Get at it. We're gonna get at it. and welcome to anybody who watches the show. If you don't get to watch the show, hopefully I'll see you on the replay, and thank you for watching. North Texas parents demand return of newborn taken by CPS over concerns about jaundice. North parent. Okay, I already read that. We've been treated like criminals, and that's far from the truth, Rodney Jackson said. This is a nightmare I wouldn't wish on anyone. A husband and wife in DeSoto are demanding Child Protective Services return their newborn daughter after the days-old infant was taken from them in a dispute over the proper treatment for jaundice. The couple alleges CPS used the criminal history of the wrong mom to help justify taking the child. Mila Jackson was born on Tuesday, March 22nd at the home of Rodney and Tamisha Jackson. A licensed midwife helped deliver the baby. At 6 pounds 9 ounces, they say the child was healthy and the home birth was successful. 3 days later, the Jacksons said they took the child to a pediatrician for a standard checkup and received a clean bill of health from the nurse practitioner. But later that day, Tamisha Jackson said she began receiving messages from Baylor Scott and White Dr. Adnan Bahat. The doctor said Mila had jaundice with dangerously high levels of bilirubin, which is a yellowish substance made during the body's normal process from breaking down old red blood cells. This also indicates some sort of bad liver function. Mila's bilirubin level was 21.7, Dr. Bott wrote. That at a bilirubin over 20, a baby risks brain damage because the bilirubin can cross the blood-brain barrier. Dr. Bott suggested that the parents bring Mila to the hospital for phototherapy, a standard jaundice treatment. According to the Mayo Clinic, infant jaundice usually occurs because a baby's liver isn't mature enough to get rid of the bilirubin in the bloodstream. In some babies, an underlying disease may cause infant jaundice. The Jacksons say that they told the doctors they would, with the help of their midwife, treat Mila's jaundice themselves at home, including the phototherapy treatment. Dr. Bott said he had concerns that they would not have the correct lights, but the family also said they would supplement Tamisha's breast milk as recommended, and provide Dr. Bott with the contact information of their licensed midwife, Cheryl Edinburgh. Several hours later into the night, Dr. Bott texts my phone very aggressive, take her to the hospital or he's calling CPS. Tamisha Jackson said of messages she received from the doctors. In this letter to CPS, Dr. Bott stated, I filed a case report with CPS after 10 attempts to appeal to the family through phone calls, text messages, and leaving of voicemails, as they did not pick up the phone. Well, I would imagine if you called in the middle of the fucking night, they wouldn't be picking up the phone. Not very many people do. Parents are very loving and they care very dearly about their baby, the doctor wrote. Their distrust for medical care and guidance has led them to make a decision for their baby to refuse a simple treatment that can prevent brain damage. I authorized the support of CPS to help get this baby the care that was medically necessary and needed. The letter continued. CPS agreed in its own statement. It wrote, due to the parents being unwilling to discuss the danger and potential consequences of this condition, it is necessary for the department to intervene. The CPS letter listed concerns of possible stroke, brain damage, and other immediate dangers. The DeSoto police officers, armed with a court order, helped CPS take Mila from the home on March 28th. Unlawfully, they entered my home to take my baby from me, Tamisha Jackson said, as she fought back tears at a Thursday, April 6th news conference held at the Afia Center in Dallas. But the Jacksons and their legal team also point out an obvious problem with the affidavit filed with the court that allowed CPS to take Mila. The affidavit used to justify CPS taking custody of the child lists the wrong mom. A mom with a completely different name with a criminal history of child neglect. Tamisha Jackson, who has no criminal record, is not even listed as the mother on the affidavit. Instantly, I felt like they had stolen my baby as I had had a home birth, and they were trying to say my baby belonged to this other woman, Tamisha Jackson said. We've been treated like criminals, and that's far from the truth, Rodney Jackson said. This is a nightmare I wouldn't wish on anybody. Said Edinburgh. Said Edinburgh, the midwife who helped deliver Mila. We're demanding that Mila be returned home today. Today because yesterday was too late. A spokesperson for CPS, unable to explain why a different woman with a criminal history is listed in the court documents, said the department could not comment on the case. Baylor, Scott, and White sent WFFA a written statement. It reads as follows. In respect of patient privacy, it is inappropriate to provide comments on the matter. We do abide by reporting requirements set forth in the Texas Family Code on any other applicable laws. Meanwhile, Mila is being cared by a foster family. The Jacksons, who are allowed to visit their daughter Wednesday at a CPS office, say they have been given a court date of April 20th. If you're a fan of Nick, you'll have heard this argument, or have heard this statement. The government is a fuck. The government is a fucker. CPS putting down the wrong woman for this, I'm guessing, is only intended to add towards the justification. I mean, of course, Doctor being... Hold on, there's a plane. There should be another one coming by soon. So CPS did need to list the wrong mom. Unless the doctor got it wrong. In which case, Baylor Scott, you rotten fucking bastards. You pieces of shit. In respect of patient privacy, and yet you go and send CPS after this woman to take her child. And you want to respect patient privacy. What is this Texas Family Code? Let's go here real quick. Texas Family Code. Is this the one? In any other applicable laws, Texas. It's Title 5. Rights of a living child after an abortion, premature birth, civil penalty, and criminal offenses. Alright, so abuse includes the following acts or omissions by person, mental or emotional injury to a child that results in an observable material impairment in the child's growth, development, or psychological functioning, causing permitting the child to be in a situation in which the child sustains injury that results in an observable material impairment in the child's growth. Physical injury resulting in substantial harm to the child or a genuine threat to substantial harm from the physical injury to the child, including the injury that is at variance with the history or explanation given and excluding an accident or reasonable discipline by a parent, guardian, or managing or possessory conservator. Sexual conduct to harmful to the child's mental, emotional, and physical welfare. Try to make reasonable sexual conduct harmful. Sexual conduct. Trafficking, causing, permitting, encouraging, engaging, allowing, photographic. The current use by a person of a controlled substance. So at best, this would be classified as neglect. And neglect would be leaving the child in a situation where the child would be exposed to substantial risk of physical or mental harm without arranging for necessary care for a child in demonstration of intent not to return by a parent, guardian. Placing a child in or failing to remove a child from a situation as a reasonable person would realize require judgment or action beyond the child's level of maturity. Failing to seek, obtain, or follow through with medical care for a child. failing to seek, obtain, or follow through with medical care for a child with the failure resulting or presenting a substantial risk of death, disfigurement, or bodily injury, or the failure to result in an observable and material impairment to the growth, development, or functioning of the child. This failure did not exist. Never. The family said that they would go through with the phototherapy with the midwife, who is licensed. Texas midwife licensing. TDLR. In our NARM certification recertification, the Certified Professional Midwife certification issued by NARM is accredited by the National Commission or Certification Agencies, accreditation body of the Institute of Credentialing Excellency, formerly NOCA. The mission of ICE is to promote excellence in credentialing for practitioners in all occupations and professions. The NCCA accredits many healthcare credentials, including the Certified Nurse Midwife. NCCA encourages. Okay, does this mean MEAC? Midwifery schools that choose to undergo accreditation to do so of their commitment to the excellency in the field. Beautiful beginning. Midwives are responsible for ensuring that each child delivered receives newborn screening test. You must provide with your applicant material information how you will collect the blood samples. CPR certification, neonatal resuscitation, human traffic training, pre-license, continuing education. Must provide proof of completing. This is a whole fucking medical field, I believe. Or plead guilty or no contest, resulting in a deferred adjudication due in state. You must provide a complete criminal history. Yeah. Portfolio evaluation process. Midwives have expert knowledge and skill in caring for women throughout pregnancy and postpartum period. The role of the midwife is to offer care that respects the goals and choices of each individual woman and her family. A midwife will help a woman make her decisions regarding how to cope with labor. How qualified a midwife is when considering healthcare options. You may find yourself wondering if a midwife is a good resource. It may It may not be well known, but midwives can have a variety of educational backgrounds and a wealth of support for patients. Midwives can provide a range of services which makes it necessary to have proper education and skills to perform them. Midwives have the ability to perform physical exams, prescribe medication, and order laboratory tests. They're also okay. So applying that to Texas. Texas midwife medical knowledge. Identify implications and appropriate treatment of various infections, disease conditions that may affect pregnancy. Treatment for variations that can occur during the course of labor, birth, and immediately thereafter, including preventions, treatments of maternal hemorrhaging. Postpartum care, lactation support, and appropriate breast care, including treatments for problems with nursing. Treatment for maternal discomfort, current treatments for problems such as postpartum depression and mental illness. Newborn care, laws and regulations regarding prophylactic biotechnical treatments and screening tests. And abnormal laboratory results triggering following a follow-up and case management to ensure that the baby receives confirmatory testing and treatment. If needed, early treatment can prevent serious complications such as growth problems, development, delays, deafness, blindness, mental retardation, seizures, or even early death. Eye prophylaxis. I'm kind of getting the implication that a midwife is capable of doing these treatment processes that the doctor seems to have a significant problem with. So think about this, if you haven't already. This family was doing everything right. They had a midwife help birth their child. The child seems to have developed jaundice at a follow-up. And the treatment is a phototherapy treatment in which the parents are going to do the treatment. With the help of their midwife, treat Mila's jaundice themselves at home, including the phototherapy treatment, and follow the breast milk supplements as recommended. Dr. Bahat said he has concern that they would not have the correct lights. It sounds like the doctor doesn't trust the midwife. Just a little thought there. I have every trust and every faith that Cheryl Edinburgh would in fact have the proper knowledge of procedures to do this properly. This doctor was power tripping. If I were this hospital, even if it would make the doctor a little uncomfortable, this kind of response, I feel like all the doctors should have to deal with some kind of leave every time this happens. Every time they feel so righteous, and every time they file a CPS report, put them on administrative leave for a little bit. You know. This guy called CPS because they wanted to do the treatment at home. They did not fail to seek, obtain, or follow through with medical care for the child. They were going to do that. They were going to do the medical treatment. They just didn't do it at the doctor's preferred place of doing it. Dr. Bot, I hope you eat a massive fucking dick. Adnan Dilbot. Fucking hell. And CPS, of course, took the child. So here's why CPS is a fucker. They just took the child. Wrong history. They didn't actually get the history of the mother right. Mrs. Jackson's not even listed as the mother in this case. And they're still holding the child. The Jacksons were allowed to visit their daughter. And it's only 12 days. It's only 12 days after this incident. March 21st, she was born. So 12 plus however many days, this family has not had their daughter. Because someone in a hospital thought his opinion was above all else and took it out on these parents who, despite every indication to follow proper medical treatment, just at a different place, just at a different time. Cause screw families, right? Screw them. Who needs family? Who wants some treating family stuff at home? when they could treat it at a hospital. Yeah, hospital. Great. Doctors are empowered with too much these days. They have the moral high ground to fuck your day. Because someone gave them a piece of paper that said they have acknowledged that this person has medical training to do XYZ. Especially the pediatricians. Love them. Hold on. I think I'm done with that topic because it makes me want to murder people, and I am not in that mood. Strawberry white tea. Let me figure out how many times I can rebrew this. You know, this light does not compliment me at all. I gotta either lose weight or get a better light. Strawberry white. One to two times. Great. So I got one more time after this. On 43. Great. Alright, on to the next topic, because CPS is a bitch. Honestly, this shouldn't have happened. Tamisha and Rodney were going to, or the Jacksons were going to take their child to get proper treatment. Like, phototherapy for jaundice. Phototherapy is a treatment with a special type of light, not sunlight. It's sometimes used to treat newborn jaundice by making it easier for the baby's liver to break down and remove the bilirubin from your baby's blood. Phototherapy aims to expose your baby's skin to as much light as possible. The light shines on the skin and changes the bilirubin and then can pass out of the body through the urine and stool. Your baby will need to be under the light for about 1 to 2 days. I'm pretty sure the midwife has access and the capacity to get to the fucking light that they need. I'm pretty sure the midwife, who is a certified practitioner in the practice, would have the knowledge requisite to finding and obtaining the light for the treatment, Dr. Bot. Okay, I'm done. That's that topic. Just gonna close these out. Have fun with that. Now we're on to the Texas topic of everybody's mind. Army Sergeant guilty in fatal Texas shooting of protesters. This should have been broadcasted. If you're in Texas, by the way, get in contact with your legislature, please. We need to pass some kind of bill that will make all trials public. Open all the criminal records. We need that Florida Sunshine Law here in Texas. Wait, hold on. Sorry, learned some good news from a fellow viewer about someone from their family. Based from Mars, if you ever watched this, congrats to your brother for coming out of a tough time. What was it? A brain injury? Hold on, I'm making sure I get my story straight. Meningitis. Right. So Based from Mars is a viewer from another stream that I talked to. They're in the locals of Nicaragua. Her brother had meningitis and was in the hospital for it. Her brother has now come out of the hospital. Hell yeah. That is very good news. To the brother's speedy recovery, and may he never have to deal with meningitis again. Alright, now back to it. Army Sergeant guilty in fatal Texas shooting of protester. Texas jury has convicted a U.S. Army Sergeant of murder for fatal shooting of an armed protester in 2020 during nationwide protests against police violence and racial injustice. Of course, that's how they're going to characterize it, because I'm guessing this guy killed one of their children. The U.S. Army Sergeant was convicted of murder for the fatal shooting an armed protester in 2020 during a Texas jury ruled Friday. Sergeant Daniel Perry was working for a ride-sharing company in July 2020 when he turned onto a street into a large crowd of demonstrators in downtown Austin. The video was streamed live on Facebook. A car can be heard honking before several shots ring out and the protesters begin screaming and scattering. 28-year-old protester Garrett Foster was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Perry, who faces life in prison, now awaits sentencing. We're happy with the verdict. We're very sorry for his family as well. There is no winners in this, Stephen Foster, the victim's father, told reporters Friday. The jury deliberated for 2 days. During the closing arguments, Perry's attorney said that he had no choice but to shoot Foster as he approached Perry's car with an AK-47 rifle. The Austin American-Statesman reported, prosecutors said Perry could have driven away before firing his revolver. Well, if you know anything about guns and cars, you know that you have to pull away from anybody and then you have to drive away. If you have to back away from somebody, even driving by somebody, bullets can pierce vehicles very easily. Witness testified that Foster never raised his rifle at Perry, according to the newspaper. Perry, who did not testify, told the police that Foster did. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, the police chief, Brian Manley, said officers heard two separate volleys of gunfire. Officers made their way to the crowd, where they found Foster with multiple gunshot wounds. Manley said the driver, who was not named at the time, called 911 and reported the shooting, that the second rounds of shots was fired by the protesters who witnessed the shooting. Perry was stationed at Fort Hood, about 70 miles, 112 kilometers north of Austin. Trial comes after attempts from Perry's team to throw out the case over the past years. When Foster was killed, demonstrators in Austin and beyond had been marching in the streets for weeks following police George Floyd. It's just basically Rittenhouse 2.0. The police killing of George Floyd died of St. George Floyd, blah, died, nailing on neck, blah. Floyd's killing was recorded, blah, by bystander, blah. Okay. Sergeant Daniel Perry. Footage. Uh... Sergeant Daniel Perry. Footage. How do you not? Yeah, that's a good question. Where's the AK in the 3D rendering of the event? What happened? So, with all this, there is one bit of news that is very interesting. And hopefully it doesn't... I'll just go to Governor Abbott. No, Greg Abbott. I'm working as swiftly as Texas law allows regarding the pardon of Sergeant Perry. Texas has one of the strongest stand-your-ground laws of self-defense that cannot be nullified by a jury or progressive district attorney. Unlike the president or some other states, the Texas Constitution limits the governor's pardon authority to only act on recommendation by the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Texas law does allow governors to request the Board of Pardons to determine if a person should be granted pardon, if made that request and instructed the board to expedite its review. I look forward to approving the board's pardon recommendation as soon as it hits my desk. Additionally, I have already prioritized reining in rogue district attorneys, and the Texas legislature is working on laws to achieve that goal. Have you considered the pardon for Aaron Dean, the former police officer? What's their names? Oh no, not them. Dumpster. Miller. Johnny Miller. I cannot spell Abilene. Just a mild thing right there. I feel very strongly about the Aaron Dean trial. It is actually my first streamed topic. That pretty much concludes the Daniel Perry topic. I do have one more, however, in similar vein. The Perry Dean is an interesting case, or Daniel Perry, because he's the situation where someone didn't have their rights affirmed in self-defense. The shooting of Jinshin happened 6 months ago. August 15th, 2020. Or 2022. It's been 6 months since law enforcement said a fender bender turned into a deadly shooting in Fort Worth. Business owner and advocate Jin Shin died that day, and 4 men were later charged with his murder. That 911 call came as a surveillance camera recorded the traffic accident. Law enforcement has since revealed. Tarrant County District Attorney said it is now using that same video to clear all men arrested on murder charges relating to the death of the 43-year-old Shin, including one who was indicted by grand jury in December, and a 911 call recordings. One of the witnesses on the scene can be heard describing Shin's behavior in the wake of the collision as erratic. The man is drunk, and he's been doing a lot, the caller said. He's in the middle of the street, and he's trying to drive off. If y'all could hurry up, that would be great. According to a lawyer for Markynn West, a 28-year-old who was among the 4 men arrested in September on charges relating to Shin's death, the only one indicted on murder charge, the only one indicted on the murder charge. The surveillance footage shows that her client according to a lawyer. The surveillance footage shows that her client was justified in his actions that night. West's attorney, Lisa Pamplin, said that her client was called to the scene by the driver's Shin that struck with his car, and that her client worked to keep everyone at the scene calm, including Shin. A source close to the investigation said count toxicology tests appeared to show Shin had elevated blood alcohol levels and a trace of other drugs at the time of his death. I knew he was drunk, West said. I was helping him. We were talking. He handed me his phone at a point, and I handed it back. Before the police arrived, Shin was caught on video loading a handgun. Shortly after, one of the people involved in the fender bender with Shin made a 911 call. He got a gun, the caller said. He got a gun. He hit us from the back, and he got a gun. The gunfire can be heard on 911 call. West attorney Lisa Pamplin, pointing to the surveillance footage, says, a case should have never been filed, and that her client was acting in self-defense when he shot and killed Shin. The DA's office now acknowledges as much, too, said Tarrant County District Attorney Phil Sorrell in a statement this week, a review of evidence in the case showed that after a minor traffic accident and its disagreement, Shin retrieved a handgun and pointed it at those present. West, in self-defense of himself and others, fired his weapon at Shin, resulting in Shin's death. The charges against West have now been dropped. Fighting back tears, West gave the following advice to drivers involved in accidents. Be as kind as possible. Be as kind as possible. After being charged and indicted for murder with a trial looming over his head for months, West is now trying to resume a life of normalcy. I'm sorry that these things had to transpire that way, said West, but I definitely pray for them. I hope everyone can move on. Family and friends are hoping to help West move on with a fundraiser meant to help cover his legal bills. West shared that in order to help make ends meet and cover his attorney's fees, he had to sell his car. Family, friends, and even strangers have already donated to his fundraiser. WFFA reached out to Shin's family for reaction to charge drop against West, but has not yet responded to our request for comment. In a previous interview, Shin's family demanded justice for his death. Well, they got justice for his death. The justice was Shin died for trying to kill people. Also, here's this little... Okay, this was created 4 days ago. I was wondering if this was a oversight from GoFundMe. You know, a little bit of hypocrisy here and there as a treat. I see they got fucking Lizzo. Where's the video? This right here is Shin. Here's the video, by the by. Oh, wait, fuck. Yes. The process is meant to hurt you. There is no such thing as innocent error. If the government errs, it needs to be punished. This prosecutor should be punished for this. I agree with Pamplin. It should never have been filed. This man did nothing wrong. He doesn't need to change a damn thing in his life. He didn't have a gun on him until he was already being shot at. Shin was a drunk man who had a bad day at a bad moment and made a bad choice. And he paid the price by a better person in a better situation. He was able to make the right choices to defend himself when he needed to. And if the state still has his gun for this, they better fucking return it. Markynn West did nothing wrong that day. You can see it on the video, he's just talking to Shin. He's just talking. There's another video I've seen where it's him talking and they're just going over, I guess, a solution. And there's video footage of Shin off to the side, kneeling on the ground, putting together a gun or putting a magazine in the handgun. Markynn West is being treated unfairly, even though he didn't do anything wrong. He had to sell off his fucking car to combat the state on completely bogus charges. So if anybody watches this with a kind heart and a kind soul, Markynn West is trying to rebuild his life from this disaster that happened to him. He lived. That was his crime, apparently. I will donate later when I have better funding. But if you would like to, please donate to this fundraiser when you can. This man has been through enough and he needs to come back home. He's home, yes, but he's not home. He's not in the state that he was before this happened. To Markynn West, if you ever end up watching this, congratulations. It's not the pure justice that you deserve, but you got a semblance of justice. Please find peace. I don't know this lady. Actually, hello everyone. My name is Kendra Richardson. I'm a family leader, advocate, and activist here in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm usually out here fighting against systemic. Okay. Oh, my cousin. Okay. Well, I don't really care much for this whole spiel right here. The closeness, cousin. Alright, yeah. Probably shouldn't be going through that. Oh yeah, Markynn West is cleared of bullshit that he should never have been charged with. Especially if you have that footage. So congratulations to Markynn. And on to, I guess, my last topic of the day. I don't actually intend on going the full length. Or I don't think I can go the full length of the show. I didn't exactly plot out 3 hours of time. Texas v. Abortificants. It's not an actual law or an actual thing that's being fought over. It's just the judge. Hold on, I'm gonna... Gotta change the title here. Markynn West self-defense shooting. There we go. I think that changed the link. No, it didn't. Okay. Alright. Sorry, back to it. Texas judge in abortion case, a life shaped by conservative causes. I think I'm going to probably find another article about this Texas abortion pill ruling. New York Times. This can't be much better, but sure. We'll go with it. Texas judge suspends FDA approval of abortion pill. Second judge protects access. The second judge protects access is a different jurisdiction, so it's a little... Federal lawsuit by conservative groups followed the Supreme Court elimination of constitutional privilege. The presumed constitutional right to abortion. The status of key abortion medication was cast into uncertainty Friday night when rulings from two federal judges reached contradictory conclusions, with one jurist blocking the U.S. government approval of the drug while the other said the pill should remain available in a swath of states. The dueling opinions, one from Texas and one from the Washington state, concerns access to mifepristone, the medication used in more than half of all abortions in the United States, followed the Supreme Court's elimination of the constitutional privilege to the procedure last year. It appears inevitable that the issue will have the High Court and the conflict decisions could make that sooner rather than later. The highly anticipated and unprecedented ruling from the Texas puts on puts on hold the FDA approval of mifepristone, which was cleared for the United States in 2000. It was the first time the judge suspended a long-time FDA approval of medication despite opposition from the agency and the drug manufacturers. The ruling will not go into effect for 7 days to give the government time to appeal. U.S. District Judge Matthew Kaczmarek, a nominee of President Donald Trump, with long-held anti-abortion views, agreed with the conservative group seeking to reverse FDA approval of mifepristone as safe and effective, including in states where abortion rights are protected. The court does not second-guess FDA's decision-making lightly, remarks the judge in a 67-page opinion, but here FDA acquiesced on its legitimate safety concerns in violation of its statutory duty based on plainly unsound reasoning and studies that did not support its conclusion. He added that the agency had faced significant political pressure to increase access to chemical abortions. In a competing opinion late Friday, a federal judge in Washington state ruled in a separate case involving the drug that the drug was safe and effective. Of course, there is the difference of opinion between Obama and Trump appointee. The conflict and complicated decision will likely put pressure on the FDA and Biden administration to determine how to enforce the new mandates set by these rulings. The judge's decision in Texas to pause his own ruling for a week while the administration seeks review in the Fifth Circuit and the contrary ruling in the Washington state means no immediate change in the status quo, but the Biden administration might not want to wait for the Fifth Circuit to act before bringing the issue to the Supreme Court. It could... Hold on. It could ask the justices to put Kaczmarek's decision on hold while legal battles continue. The justice might then face a decision about whether to hear the case in the normal course of business, which would mean scheduling a hearing in the new term that begins in October, or take up the case on an emergency basis. The court has done that in some recent cases, but could cause serious problems for the court that has one round of oral arguments left in the current term and has issued a few opinions in cases already argued and none in the biggest disputes involving election law, affirmative action, and religious and LGBTQ rights. Medication-induced abortion has become increasingly contentious since the High Courts overturned the nearly 50-year-old Roe v. Wade decision last June, which allowed states to outlaw or sharply restrict the procedure. Abortion clinics reached Friday night emphasized that the Texas ruling would not affect their care for the next 7 days. Even then, if Kaczmarek's ruling takes effect, several providers said they would not stop prescribing mifepristone. Mifepristone. There we go. Mifepristone. It's been the pronunciation the entire time. Mifepristone. Until they are instructed to do so by the FDA. I get it, but fucking can we just abide by the laws, please? Many abortion clinics have been preparing for the Texas rulings for months. If they're forced to stop providing mifepristone, they say they will continue to provide surgical abortions and in many cases a different medication abortion regime. includes only misoprostol, a second drug in the standard 2-step medication abortion regimen. Nothing changes for us tomorrow, Amy Hagstrom Miller, Chief Executive Whole Woman's Health. A network of abortion clinics texted a group of her staff at 6:51 p.m., less than an hour after the ruling was issued. Whole Woman's Health will not stop prescribing mifepristone until it receives directions from the FDA, Hagstrom Miller said. The Texas lawsuit was brought by the legal group Alliance Defending Freedom on behalf of anti-abortion medical organizations and 4 doctors who say they have treated patients with mifepristone. It claimed the FDA did not have the power to approve the drug and take issues with the agency's easing of restriction on pill through the years. Wow, this is a long one. I really want to talk about Clarence Thomas. I'll save it for later. That is a topic for tomorrow. I'll talk about Clarence Thomas tomorrow. I will say, I do not approve. I do not think. I'm sure you can make laws to outlaw the. No. An abortion is one thing. You gotta go to a doctor, you gotta get some money, you gotta get a procedure done that could permanently disfigure you if done, and completely eliminate your chances at having kids. An abortificant pill, it's just a hormone balance play. I mean, sure, maybe at a couple months in, make it no good. But within the first few weeks, it's free game. The body is just starting to take hold of the pregnancy. So it should be done if you just want to scramble your body, your hormones for a little bit. Whereas one is scrambling the womb and the space it takes to make the baby. This other one is scrambling the hormones, making it unviable. You just buy a pill and you take it. That should be fine. The thing I didn't cover about this judge is that their child was born stillborn, their first child. I get this judge's inclination to want to stop this, but he cannot. I will say he cannot force this on the people who want to take this pill. Unless you can find a path of bodies because this pill, and prove that there's been someone hiding a path of bodies from this pill, there is no reason to not let it continue. if he probably counts the unsafety of the lack of safety from this pill to be the effect it has on the child. And while that would be reasonable to take in, not for this case. The point of the pill is to do what it does. And if he's found, in his opinion, against that, then it's just... I don't want to say it's political, but it's very, very likely that it is. Where's his opinion? I'm thinking of finding my next few topics right now. Texas abortion pill ruling text. There we go. Where is it? Oh, come on, internet. Come on. Come on, man. What is this case? Most abortions are... No, abortion pill. What am I looking for? Has he not published his decision at all? Judge Matthew. Texas. No, it's not this. Man, if only I could find out what the case was about. My Pristone case. Fifth Circuit. So which circuit is he in? Northern District. Northern District of Texas. No? God damn it, dude. Well, I can't find what I'm looking for. If you have the capacity, or even if you have to know how to find the ruling on this, please send it to me. I would love to be able to read this out loud because it's interesting. I don't agree with it, but it's very interesting. The judge is on a mission, and it's alright, it's respectable enough. Just, liberties at stake. The abortion aspect has a lot of harm to it, but an abortificant pill, not really, not so much. I mean, unless the pill is literally poisoning the person taking it, but that's how some drugs work. Better to take that than like a high dose of meth or cocaine to do the trick. The Guardian clearly has a bias on the matter. I spent a lot of time trying to find a case that might not even be available yet. I will try to find some more topics for tomorrow. Maybe not so much to the full degree of 3 hour stream. I usually stream at 3 o'clock when I think I can have 3 hours of stream, or at least 3 hours to be able to stream. I did not need all that time today, so sorry about that. I was hoping to be able to get at least 3 hours of streaming in. I don't exactly have enough topics for it. The early days of these streams will probably be a lot of inconsistently timed streams. I'm hoping to push for at least an hour each time, every time. So as long as I can get to do an hour for the stream, I think I should be fine. I'll get used to the flow of this. I'm 10 videos in, and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. Except for the one time where I was dying reading the Fair Tax Act, and I want to die every time I read it. For anyone curious, this is the bill. In a PDF form, it's 132 pages. From start to very end. What? If 16th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States is not repealed before the end of the 7-year period beginning on date of the enactment of this act, then all provisions of and amendments made by this act shall not apply to any use or consumption in years beginning after December 31st of the calendar year in which that the Sales Tax Bureau of the Department of Treasury shall not be terminated until 6 months after such. Oh, sunset of sales tax. So basically, if this... Okay. I completely misunderstood something about this whole thing. Interests on overpayments and underpayments. Essential time for paying for tax. For paying tax. I was going through this, and it's kind of painful, but I actually kind of enjoy it. It's a good way of highlighting certain aspects. Oh. Huh. That's a fancy feature. I'm really hoping for this. So if you're ever interested in reading this, I figured something out that makes it easy to read. So this whole first portion, it's got section 2, you got title 1, and here's title 2. 101 in title 1 only refers to this. Title 1 only refers to these things. Title 2 starts here. And starts with section 201. But then you start at 101, section 101. Because it's chapter 1. 10, 20, 30, 40. So chapters 101 is chapter 1 of the book, first section. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then chapter. This is the first chapter, and this is the first section of the chapter. First chapter, second section of the chapter. And this will become more prevalent as you go along the bill. Because once you get to a certain point, 601, 602, 603, 604 for chapter 6, chapter 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll help you down the line if you ever get to a point of reading this on your own. I'll get back to it. I started reading this ages ago, and then it got boring to me, so I'll start reading it again. I'm getting used to reading these texts. It's not as mind-numbing now. I'll just need to be in the right frame of mind. If I can, I'll probably end up creating a shorter version of everything or compiling it down into a smaller stream or a small video. Hopefully I get to a point of understanding it. It only needs, like, what? A few actions? It was introduced, it's now in the Ways and Means. No amendments to it. Originally, I thought from this bill, finally the bill terminates national sales tax. The 16th Amendment is not repealed. I read this wrong, completely wrong initially. I thought what it was saying was that it would repeal the 16th Amendment, if not, it would repeal the 16th Amendment if enacted after 7 years. But this part basically says is this bill terminates itself if the 16th Amendment to the Constitution is not repealed within 7 years. I think we should definitely try this as a way to see if a sales tax could work like this. No income tax would be a nice way of experiencing a non-income tax society. The general revenue is basically sales tax, as it is normally the 8.25 federal. The old age survivor insurance trust fund is basically Medicare. Similarly, Medicare. No, wait. Medicare and Social Security funds. Federal supplementary, and these are basically all Medicare. Some equivalent to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security fund. It adds all of the above. I did the math on it. It turns out sales tax is a better way of doing it because I get less back from a refund. I get nothing back from a refund. And I get $100 back every paycheck. That's an extra $100. $140 that I'd get back if I didn't have to pay income tax. It'd benefit everybody, really. I will get back into the income tax ordeal. The Fair Tax Act. I've gotten better at reading it. I need to go back over it. I think... Yeah. I was just making sure I wasn't on the wrong thing. I think to round it off, I'm probably going to cover Clarence Thomas tomorrow. His little ordeal, his little conniption with whatever they've got against him. I'll look into it real quick. I am so glad, honestly, to have been getting into this. It's a fun little exercise of my mental acuity. And hopefully I get to do more consistently lengthy productions. We'll see when that time comes around. I'm trying to stretch this out to 2 hours, honestly. Just wanting to make it so it's an even 2 hour stream and not like 1 hour 50 something. I guess to recap, CPS is a motherfucker. A doctor shouldn't have the power to basically take your child from you if they feel like you're not respecting their medical advice well enough. That's too much authority to a person who merely has a degree. I don't care how qualified they think they are. Sergeant Perry was wrongfully convicted, as is typical in these cases of self-defense. They're trying to break these rights down. The right to not die is terrifying to some of these people, and it's infuriating. Markynn West, I cannot say enough. Congratulations for your dismissal of the case. You should never have been charged. You should never have been in that bullshit. You were responding to a friend needing some help, and I can see you were the calm person on the scene, and you did not expect that guy to come up with a gun, and you should not have had to use a gun. I'm glad that you had one and that you were able to save yourself. I'm so happy for you, man. If you are watching this, if you ever get to see this video, please, I would love to get in contact with you. I'd love to be able to talk. You need a friend. You need someone who would be on your side. And hearing that your family and friends are treating you differently, that's not great. It's not good. Hopefully some of my opinions are not so offensive to you that you would be against some friendly conversation. I'd love to get in contact with your lawyer to see how that case came along, if you get to talk about it, if you get to let your lawyer talk about it. That I would be fascinated to hear everything from Miss Pamplin. To the judge, to that Judge Matthew. I can't say your last name. I know your stance, and I agree with it. But an abortificant pill is not the same as an abortion. It does materially the same thing, but you can in some aspects, but it needs to be respected. You need to have some ground, some compromise to this ideal. I know the struggle that you have in your internal conflict, but please just let it go. You gotta overturn that opinion. As uncomfortable as it is to capitulate in some mild aspect to abortions or abortificants, you cannot just be the arbiter on this in this way. The drug works as it's intended. It's not unsafe in the way that it's practiced. And with that, thank you for coming to the stream. Thank you for anybody who's watching on the replay. I see that I have one watching. I'm happy to have one watching. Hopefully that's not just me in the count. Thank you for anybody who came to watch. Thank you for anybody who will come watch later. I'm hoping to do more of these. Always happy to see more people come in to watch. I'll probably at another time be able to pick a better time to stream. Right now I've got the obligations of my job, unfortunately. I'm getting better at the new properties that I'm working at, so I'll be able to hopefully come back to stream the 3 hours I intend to, because I was able to get home pretty quickly last night. With all that, I will say it again. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to the stream. And I'll see you next